Hello, 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 and welcome to the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. Thursday, it's 12 o'clock, we're here. I've scraped myself together to make sure I look presentable, almost. I'm really excited today because I love it when we have guests on Live Lunch. It is, we don't know what's going to happen conversation-wise, we're always talking about something different, but it's always super, super valuable. So, what we thought this week, today is GCSE results day, last Thursday was A-level results day, and at this time of year it's like your social media feeds are just filled with people celebrating results, which is obviously fantastic to see. But people see it's like anything, right? People see the results, they don't see all the work that went into it, all the stress or the anxiety that led up to that point. So I thought, why not let's use it as an opportunity and get two people I know really well on with us and basically talk about this stuff, because it's something that, I mean, I know a bit about, but I don't know it in the depth that these guys do. So we have Jen Roblin and Jasmine Navarro. I always wonder if I'm saying your last name right, Jasmine.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
There we go. I always like panic after, so I'm like, okay, so Jasmine, let's start with you. Introduce yourself, because I know, because of how we know each other, I know my audience will have no idea who you are.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Jasmine and I'm a family wellbeing expert, and I work with teenagers and parents, and I help them with self-confidence, well-being, emotional well-being, resilience, all to help them achieve what they want in life, basically. Excellent. That's what I do.
Excellent. And you're based out in Dubai?
Yes. Yeah. At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, because I never know where Jasmine is. She's either in Dubai or Bournemouth.
I know, exactly. Between the two, really. Yeah.
And Jen, I know you've been on Live Lunch before, but yeah, give us a quick intro.
Yeah, I'm an anxiety specialist. I work with teenagers and young adults, and it is to help them overcome their anxiety. So it's been a pretty busy few months with exam season.
So, yeah, Paul's just put in the chat, very similar. Love that. So where should we kick this off? Okay, I mean, if you think about the lead up to the exam results, obviously it's like a high anxiety time, Jen, right? So, and I think, like, even as adults, when we've got something and there's like that date, and that's the date you know that something's going to happen, all these kind of feelings come out, and the self-doubt and all that sort of stuff. So what are some of the challenges you've been seeing?
Well, from the nerves of sitting the exams, prioritising time, making sure that they're on top of their game, because, you know, let's face it, they've got so much to be focusing on, so many subjects, they're pulled in multiple different ways. Quite often they've got more than one teacher for each subject. So they're getting separate homework from each teacher. It's absolutely crazy. And obviously my daughter's just gone through it as well. So she's just turned 18 and just got her A-level results. So we know firsthand what it's like in our home, as well as all my clients. So it's been interesting. What's really stood out for me is how resilient the children are that are going through the exams right now on the back of coming through the pandemic. I think they've done exceptionally well because it was unprecedented times. And you've got so much in the news about the results not being as good as they have been in previous years. They weren't going to be issuing with many A's. So that adds on so much stress on what's already a stressful time. You know, the news sensationalizes everything. So yeah, they've had so much pressure. So much pressure.
And Jasmine, I know because you have like the family approach.
Yes.
How, like, when it comes to dealing with the parents during this time, how's that been?
Well, yeah, I think, well, I was just about to say, because, yeah, Jen mentioned pressure at the end, and that's what I was going to say as well. The teenagers just put in so much. I mean, they have pressure from school, maybe from their parents, but the pressure that they're putting on themselves is just on another level. But yeah, I think parents, like we were saying before, you know, a lot of parents who I talk to, they have anxiety, like high anxiety, because they're just so worried about their child, you know, how are they coping? You know, maybe they're struggling, maybe, I think it's just the pressure that the teens are putting on themselves. And I think the parents can see that and they just worry, you know, because they don't know how to help them, because, you know, they're not taught skills how to help their children going through this. That's the problem. So yeah, so I think lots of worry, anxiety and pressure for the teens.
So it's results day. They get the email. I mean, like for me, it's like you had to go to school and pick up your envelope and you'd open it there,
Yeah.
right? And you think, like, in that moment, you got those results. So one of two things happens. You get what you wanted that allows you to continue with your plan, or you don't get what you wanted. And I think that, right, so let's go with the, like, you've got the results, you know what's happening next. You think the anxiety, the stress stops there, but it doesn't, does it? It just kicks off again.
One of the things I really noticed, I was lucky enough to be able to go up to school with my daughter on results day, and I know her group of friends, they're really, really close. And they were all nervous of telling each other their results because they're such a tight-knit group. When you've got these friendship communities going on, they all want the best for their friends too, and they don't want to be the one that gets into a uni or gets the results when their friends don't. So it's not just the worry for themselves, but it's the worry for their peers, their support network, because, you know, they've gone through their entire education with this group. So they genuinely care about each other. So that was putting, you know, when I thought that it would be a relief to see that they've all got their results, they're then worrying about friendships as well and making sure that their friends have got the same. So yeah,
I noticed that as well. Just to jump in, that's exactly, isn't it? So they're worrying about their friends' results, they're worrying about their results, and I think it's just about fitting in. They want to sort of all be the same and all feel the same, and we're all the same together. I think they're worrying about being individual, being different.
And is that partly a confidence issue, Jasmine?
I think so. I think definitely.
So they've got their results, and now they're, you know, like the A-level students, now they know they're going to go off to university, which seemed like a long way out. And now all of a sudden it's like, it's here. So there's and I think when you go through any change, any big change in life, obviously that brings its challenges. So for the people in those situations, whether it is the A-level student going off to university or the GCSE student now looking at that change to go to, you know, I mean, some of them will stay at the sixth forms, but some of them will be going into college, which is a very different educational environment. And they've not had a change like this since they were 11. So what are the strategies that you guys are using to help people in those situations to kind of overcome the feelings that they've got?
I guess, sorry. Yeah, I guess for me, like I work a lot with the emotions. So, you know, asking them how they're really, really feeling, letting them share how they're feeling. Of course, you know, providing a safe space, building that rapport with them so they open up. But, you know, letting them know that whatever they're feeling is okay. That's the first thing. There's no right or wrong. You know, however they're feeling is okay. That's the first thing. I'm not going to judge them. They shouldn't feel this or they shouldn't feel that, you know. And then we work on helping them process their emotions. So if they're feeling anxious, that's okay. But how are they responding to that feeling of anxiety? Because if they feel anxious about feeling anxious, then it becomes a problem. Or if they feel stressed about feeling anxious, it becomes a problem. So it's about teaching them that is how they respond to their emotions. And you have to feel them. That's the only way that you can go through them. It's not about suppressing them, avoiding them. It's about accepting them, listening to them, finding out what the message is, and helping the feeling leave your body. And I do like techniques with them that way. And writing them down as well, journaling. Maybe they don't want to open up straight away, so they can write them down. They don't have to show anybody. It's just about the first step, acknowledging the emotion and accepting. That's what we work on. Yeah.
Brilliant. Jen, what have you got to add to that?
Totally agree. And you know, sometimes they don't even know what they're feeling because it's
Yes.
a new feeling that they've not had before. So it's helping them to understand what does it feel like that's happened in a similar situation before, so that they can actually understand and make sense of the way that they're feeling. And, you know, starting to plan for their next steps, whether it's A levels or GCSEs or university, that's all started months and months and months ago. You know, whilst they're in the middle of studying and revising for their exams, they've had to work out what they want to do next. They've had to understand what happens if they don't get their grades. So it's been such an ongoing process that's taken up such a huge amount of their time and their energy. And it all comes down to that one day when you get the results in your hand to know what you're doing next. So it is preparing them for any eventuality on the results day and how we can take that and make that in the best situation for them with the feelings that they have and the emotions that they have. You know, sometimes they're worried about going home and telling parents. So this support network that they should have around them, they don't want to let their parents down either. So again, the pressure is just from every side.
You've raised something quite interesting there about the fact that they don't know. They don't know how they feel. They don't know what words to use. And obviously with the stuff we do together, Jen, I've seen you in action in these situations. So if you know, not everyone is in a privileged position to be able to work with people like you, people like Jasmine. So what questions as a parent, like if, you know, you say to your kid, like, you know, well, how do you feel? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, that's that then, you know, that conversation can't go any further. So what questions, right, Jen's giggling because we've got a little something from a social scenario where I said, well, that's that then. And it just turned into a really funny moment. So that's why she's giggling. She's just remembered. That's a story for offline. But yeah, so Jen, what questions as a parent can you ask when, and not even just as a parent, you've got someone in your team, as a leader in your business, a manager, or asking your partner even, you know, what are the questions you can ask that can help them to maybe not even identify, but just communicate what the feeling is?
I think one of the first things is to acknowledge if they want to talk at that moment in time, because they can be in a bit of shock and they may not be ready to talk. So it's being there, supporting, encouraging them, giving them a safe space to open up, but not forcing them at that point in time. Yeah. And often the parents, I don't know if you found the same thing, Jasmine, but they project some of their own fears because the parents have got this vision of how their child's life should look. So it's the parents' vision of the child going off to university or starting work, not necessarily the child's, but, you know, the parent is disappointed if their vision of that life is not going to be living out. So again, it's hard for the children because it may be something that the child doesn't even want. You know, you see it a lot if the parents want them to be doctors and they don't get a grade. The child can feel like a failure, but they may not have wanted to be a doctor in the first place. So it's giving the child the space to come to terms with where they are, help support them practically. So if they have to go through clearing and change their plan, discuss openly how they would do things, and make sure that there's people around them that they can open up to, because they won't always open up to a parent.
Yeah.
So if you were wanting to ask the question, it is, how are you feeling? How does that make you feel? And then you ask in, how does that make you feel? And how does that make you feel? So you can go on a deeper level than the child realizes that they may be able to go to on their own.
I love that. And you can even ask as well, after you've asked them how they're feeling, and maybe they don't know, but you can also say, you know, what do you need from me right now? Like, how can I help you? Like, you can ask them, you know. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's just about communicating how you're feeling as a parent as well. Maybe you can tell them how you're feeling. You know, maybe you can say, I'm feeling a bit anxious today. You know, it's okay. You know, I'm feeling sad, or like however you're like, share how you're feeling and that it's okay. And then that can help them know that they can share how they're feeling as well, even if they can't explain how they're feeling. But Like, it's okay to feel negative feelings. I mean, we say in coaching, there's no such thing as positive or negative. Like, it's okay. It's a normal human part of being human, you know.
So I've got another question. So I feel that things like stress, anxiety manifest in a variety of different ways. And so I know, like, I get stressed sometimes. People don't think I get stressed. They think I'm like really cool and calm and the rest of it. Right. So when I am stressed, it kind of manifests physically. Like, I'll get a rash on my chest. I feel absolutely fine. I feel absolutely okay. But I've got this ridiculous rash on my chest. I might feel absolutely cool. Totally cool. And yet I'm sweating buckets. So I think the way that the stress, the anxiety kind of pops up, it's people think about anxiety and they think about someone having a panic attack, essentially. So what are the signs? Because you might be looking at your kid thinking they're absolutely okay, but they're not. So what are the things we should be looking for?
I'd say that. Go on, Jasmine.
No, go.
I think there's there's 3 different elements of it. You've got the physical things, like the rash and those things. Your heartbeat will go faster. You might be sweating. You may be going hot and cold. You may be having headaches or tummy aches. That they can all be anxiety related. But as a parent, I'd say the biggest thing to look out for is any changes in the behaviour of your child. So if they're shutting themselves away more than normal, or if they're going out partying more than normal, or, you know, what are they doing that's different to the norm? How are they responding? Are they a little bit, you know, have they got a short fuse? You know, all of these things are understandable. When you're feeling stressed out, you haven't got the focus and the attention and the same way of communicating because you're in a heightened state of your fight and flight. So it will be easy to spot differences in what they're doing. Are they eating differently, sleeping differently? Notice those things, because that will be what they're giving off subconsciously rather than the words they're saying. So they could be telling you what they think they want you to hear, but the body language and the behaviour may be telling you something different.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I would say as well. Changes in behaviour. Yeah, isolating themselves, being in their room, not spending time with their friends as much anymore, things like that. Yeah.
It's really interesting because a lot of that you would put down to it's just teenage behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think we do put so much of this down to teenage behaviour. But there's normally an underlying reason why it's like that.
Kim, you've been very quiet. You got any questions to ask?
Do you know what? I was just sat here thinking, I don't think I've ever made it into a live lunch 18 minutes and 29 seconds in and not said anything.
I believe you.
Yeah. So for me, like I wasn't being ignorant. I wasn't on my phone. I was actually just writing down a load of stuff that you were saying. So I've got a little boy. He's 7. So how do you recognise signs when they're younger? So that, because I'm a very anxious person, I know that. And I do feel like it's now rubbing off onto him in certain situations. So I guess the question I'm asking is, A, how do I stop that? And B, is it different to teenagers, you know, recognising those signs than it would be for sort of someone under 10?
I mean, I don't work a lot with under 10-year-olds, but I would say it would be similar. Jen, would you say the same? Yeah. I would say
it is similar. I do work with from 5 upwards.
Do you?
And yeah, and you can still notice the changes in behaviour. Yeah. Kim, I'd say the biggest bit of advice is be the role model that you want to be, and by looking at your own anxious behaviour and changing that, addressing that, is going to have the biggest impact on your son. Because all too often when I work with the children, it's the learnt behaviour from the parents.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And like what I would like to say as well, because I had anxiety, or, you know, when I was a teen growing up, whatever. But like even the words that you said, Kim, which I'm not criticizing at all, but like you said, I'm an anxious person. I used to say that about myself. I'm an anxious person. But then somebody said, no, you have anxiety. It's not who you are. And once I made that separation as well, and then I learned with coaching how to process the anxiety, because I didn't know what to do with it. I just thought I have to just suppress it, avoid it, do anything. But when I actually learned to feel it, it was tough, I felt peace. So I think I don't know if that helps, but it's only because I used to say the same thing and somebody said, no, you are not your anxiety.
Yeah, well, we're doing
really
a lot.
Unhelpful.
We're doing a lot.
It's a really unhelpful label.
Yeah, do you know what? I think a lot of people, even if you're just anxious a little bit, they're like, oh, I've got anxiety. I think it's such an overused term sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like working on yourself and things, and the stuff that I'm doing with Jen and Christina with success psychology. It's rather uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie. And the thought of me doing this 5-day ECT, I'm literally, the other night I was just laying in bed and I was like, oh my God. I was like, in my mind, I'm playing out the day as if I'm going to be there. Like, my mind's just going. So, yeah.
You know, we've got your back.
I'll with you on that one, Jen.
And it is, because anxiety is just another emotion. And when we're feeling anxious, we just have another behaviour. So it's, you know, I have to say it to parents when their children are playing up, it's their behaviour you don't like. It's not the child that you don't like. There's still that same loving child underneath.
Yeah.
It's just a behaviour.
It is, and it's the labels that people use, the language that they use to themselves, and it's also that the way they refer to it it's a possessive way of referring to it. It's something I own. You know, my anxiety's pulling me up today. You know, it's even that. It's like you don't say my happy's got me on a high today.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like. You know, so it's it's such an interesting thing. We've had a comment over on LinkedIn. I'm going to bring it up on screen. It's a bit long, so I'll just give you a second. So I do know who it is, but I'm going to try not to say the name. Although it's on LinkedIn anyway, so I don't know why I'm thinking. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. So. Jen, Jasmine, if I could ask you on LinkedIn, if you can, after this, just comment with any resources you've got that we use. Sure. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But this person supporting a close friend with terminal illness. The friend has a 16-year-old daughter with high levels of anxiety, which are including a physical tic. And this person really wants to support them both. And I guess this is the thing, when it's stuff like that, it is let's assume that the person leaving this comment, they're not a coach, they haven't had any coaching experience. So in that scenario, when you've got somewhere where the anxiety has got to that level, I guess there's a big piece of acceptance there, but what practical things can we suggest in that scenario?
And that's such a valid point. It is about acceptance. They've got so much going on. No wonder they're anxious. Now, we all get anxious from time to time. Every single person does. But we talk about it as if it's a massive problem. It's there to serve us and it's there to keep us safe. Given the circumstances, it's completely understandable that they're scared and they're fearful of the future because of the situation they're in. So acknowledge that that's okay to feel that way. And then you can deal with the physical symptoms of anxiety and calming down the racing thoughts and the things that are going on in their head. And there's loads of tools and techniques that we can use that help with that. So it's accepting, not fighting it, because it is there to protect. Anxiety is only ever there to protect. It's the way we think about it and the thoughts that go on in our head that make it so scary.
And even just like, I know this sounds a bit, but just sometimes just stopping, I know this, and just taking 5 really, really deep breaths, like that does help. I don't know, do you think that helps, Jen? Like sometimes that's helped me.
Totally help.
Yeah. And you think, wow, just
when you go into your fight or flight, your sympathetic nervous system is activated.
Yeah.
If you do your deep breaths, you're going to activate your parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest. It's the complete opposite. And you can't be doing both at the same time. So there are ways that we can get the body back into a restful state again.
Jen, you're in our little world, you're famous for the unspinning technique. Is that something that would potentially work in this scenario?
Yeah, it works in every scenario.
What's that? Oh, I don't know that one.
She's done it to me. It works.
Yeah, it's just a technique of where. Do you want me to just go through it now, Christina, quickly for the audience?
Absolutely.
So it's where you recognise where the anxiety is in your body.
Okay.
It's different for everyone, so it could be anywhere, but it's what's unique for you.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start tuning into it and give it a size. So how big is it? How big does it feel?
Yeah.
Is it travelling around your body? Is it staying still? Is it fluid? Is it solid? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
How heavy is it? And when you can start tuning into it, you can give it a colour even. There's always a colour associated to it. But when you tune into it, you'll notice that it's spinning either clockwise or anti-clockwise. And the key is to spin it the opposite way, because what it's doing, it's changing the neural pathways in your brain. Instead of going to its default of feeling anxious, it's giving you a technique to unwind that anxiety until you feel calm. And Kim, you'll say as well, it's, the anxiety in that moment will completely go away. Now, it doesn't mean it won't come back, but you've then got a technique that you can use if it does come back. And I've got a video of me doing it that I'd be happy to share with Christina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love that. That actually, yeah, processing. But I've never heard of. I know the processing, the color, describing everything, and I think it's so powerful. But I never heard of the clockwise and the anti-clockwise. So that's something else that I'll try. Thank you.
Yeah.
It works. It really does work.
Can imagine.
It's weird.
It's so powerful.
You can't describe it.
And again, you can do it on 5-year-old children, and it works for them. So it can be done with any age group, and they find it fun. It's a way that they can then have control of their anxiety. So when they're at school, if they're feeling anxious, they've got a technique that puts them back into control. And again, this is what anxiety is all about. It's being fearful and out of control. So anything that can put them back into that state is good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about the unswell. We call it the anxiety swell, don't we, Jen? But that's what I love about it, because it's so easy to just do yourself. There was a couple of months ago, I was driving somewhere, there's just loads going on, and I was just getting and I was like, what? I'm so stressed. And I was deep breaths. Okay, where is it? Just taking myself through the process. And it's like 2-3 minutes and it's done. It's not like you've got to, hide away for an hour and go through all this stuff. It's like it works so quickly. So yeah, it's a really powerful tool to be able to have.
So many of those tools and techniques that we can use, and they can be used with young children. Another good one is going into peripheral vision. So you know what it's like if you're driving along and you see the houses and the trees going by, and then all of a sudden the car in front slams on the brake, and all you do is focus on the brake light. You've gone from peripheral vision into tunnel vision, and tunnel vision is when you're in your stress position. So by opening up and going back into peripheral, it's another way to calm yourself down. And you can't think with the same anxious thoughts when you're in peripheral vision as you can when you're in tunnel vision.
It's like shifting your perspective, is it? Like a perspective.
It's your vision. It's your vision. So it puts you again from your sympathetic nervous system into your parasympathetic. So it takes you from your fight and flight into your rest and digest.
Amazing. And yeah, imagine if all teenagers knew these techniques.
We're on a mission to make it
I don't
happen.
understand why we're still learning about Henry VIII and stuff like that. This is what we need to be learning about.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's madness.
Totally.
I love this stuff. Honestly, it's like there's so many little things, and they're so easy to implement once you know how. You know, and like I said, you know, we start this conversation talking about, you know, kids in schools and exam results and that kind of stuff. But like I said, if you know, as adults, it's like this stuff is just as, you know, 5-6-year-old kids or 40-50-year-old adults. You know, there's not a lot of difference, really.
No, because anxiety is hereditary. It's evolutionary. You know, we all have it. It's been around since humans began. So, you know, nobody can say they're immune from feeling this way. So if every adult could learn it, then, you know, imagine how different the children's lives would be if the parents could calm them down right at the very beginning. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean they won't get anxious. My daughter was anxious on exam results day, and that's fine. Having a mum that's an anxiety specialist is not going to make that not happen. And again, the children want to be almost tribal. They all want to feel the same way. If my daughter went into school and said she wasn't anxious, she'd feel a bit excluded. She wouldn't be part of the gang, part of the tribe. So they all want to feel the same and have that same experience. So yeah, having all these skills doesn't mean that your child or you will never get anxious, but it gives you the control to be able to manage it.
I think it's about listening to your body, learning to listen to your body and use it as a tool, because it is a tool. Like anxiety will give us a message as well. You can speak to anxiety. I do that with my clients, with myself. Like, what do you need? What can I do? You know, you can have a conversation with the emotion, let it speak. There's going to be a message. Yeah.
I used to call my anxiety Bruce. When I was growing up, I had a heck of a lot of anxiety, and it was called Bruce. And somehow when you give it a name, and it becomes real, it's easier to talk to and have that conversation. And
and you separate yourself from it.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's
Bruce would come along, and you know, you could tell Bruce where to go. So you know, again, puts you back in control. So, you know, another interesting way. So you could do that with your son, Kim. By the name.
And that's what what we. Oh, sorry.
So I was going to say, Nicole's just asked. By the way, can you there's suddenly noise outside? Can you hear it?
Not now.
Not now.
Comes and goes.
Should we all just leave?
I love this one. I love this about journaling out.
Right, let's deal with Nicole's question first, and then we'll come to yours, Kim.
I think journaling out thoughts is an absolutely fantastic way. And again, Christina, I'm happy to share my list of, I've got some questions that I give to clients to ask themselves when they're journaling. And it would always start off with, what am I feeling right now? And then understand and acknowledge that. What would I like to feel instead? Would I like to feel happy? Would I like to feel calm? Would I like to feel motivated? Whatever it is, what do I need to do to get to feeling the last? So really happy to share. There's about 15 questions. I don't ask all of them, but you know, you choose the one on the day that you want to use, but it helps you to take back control again and get those feelings out. And it just stops them whirring around in your head when you get them down on paper.
Exactly. And I don't know about you, Jen, but every morning I try to write something. Sometimes I have questions prepared, but a lot of the time I just write anything. Like I wake up and I just write anything, like whatever comes up. There's no plan. I just write something, a few lines. I do that every morning, and it's just like spend that 5 minutes with myself, and then I can start my day. It might just be a load of rubbish that I've written down. You know, it can be anything.
Fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one of the things I always say is, the day that I don't think I've got time to journal is the day I need to do it most.
So
So,
true.
you know, it's always a reminder that when you don't have the time, and you're right, a lot of people actually ask what's the difference between a diary and journaling, and they get a little bit confused between the two. So if I can just clarify, journaling is a brain dump of your thoughts and your feelings. So it's not talking about every moment of your day and what you did. It's a brain dump of how you're feeling about your day, or about right now, or about your week, whatever it is about your personal situation. It's getting down feelings and thoughts rather than what actually occurred.
Exactly. And you learn about yourself, don't you? Sometimes you write something and you're like, where did that come from? Oh my God, I didn't realize I was thinking that. So you really, when you let go, and sometimes it's hard to let go and just write something because you might not even want to write it in front of yourself. But once you get past that, yeah, you can learn. And I think especially for teenagers, maybe you don't, or adults, you don't have anyone to talk to at that moment, write it down.
Yeah.
Kim, have you ever tried journaling?
Well, I'm trying this new thing lately, like last sort of 5-6 weeks, and so I listen to Mel Robbins a lot. Like, I love her.
Okay.
I love her.
Yeah.
And there was a podcast that she did that she said, before the noise of the world starts, just take that 5-10 minutes in the morning. Don't look at your phone. Don't put the music on. Don't whatever. Just sit and write down how you're feeling, and like, what are you know, it's, people think, oh, in the gratitude list, like, I think people think it's all woo and stuff, but honestly, I have noticed the difference physically and mentally. Just if I start my day doing that, I kind of go, okay, and then we get on with the day. If I don't, I've woken up, I've checked my phone, I'm on Facebook, I've sent Snapchats, and my head's just like, and that's before I've even left the bed. So yeah, I literally my little journal is right here actually. So I come and sit down at my desk every morning before, well, not every morning, but like I say, I notice when I don't. Like this morning was a little bit rushed, and yeah, I think that's maybe why I'm a bit like, but yeah, I would say just that 10 minutes is so important for the way that your whole day goes. It's crazy, and I wouldn't have believed it maybe 6 months ago, but the more you look into the stuff, you're like, oh, okay, so they're not crazy vegans wafting sage. They actually know what they're talking about.
I'm going to pull that as a testimonial and use that in all our marketing, Jen.
So,
but do you know, I think this is the thing. It's like with journaling, people think they need to write pages and pages of stuff, and it's like, no, 2 sentences. There is no right or wrong.
Yeah. Anything.
Absolutely.
Just write anything. And once you get going, sometimes you just write a lot anyway, or sometimes you don't. It's just, there's the pressure. Don't put the pressure on yourself. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I think the pressure can be such a massive block for teenagers, for adults, for everybody.
You don't even need to look back on it, because you've expressed it by getting that out. So once it's out on paper, job done. If you want to look back, by all means you can, but there's no need to. I often don't. Oh, I often can't read my own handwriting, because you go into free flow, and it doesn't matter, because you're just getting those thoughts out. So it doesn't matter. You forget about getting spelling right, forget about getting grammar right. Just go with the flow.
Nicole's just asked in the comments on Facebook, do you recommend journaling in the morning or at night?
I think
personally I do. Oh yeah, I agree. Whatever works best. I do morning. Occasionally I do evening, but it makes, as Kim says, it makes such a difference to my day if I start my day with that. So I tend to do it in the morning. If something particular has happened that day, I might journal it out that night, but that wouldn't be the default. The default would be more in the morning, and it can be daily, weekly, or just when something happens. It's better to do it what's right for you, because you're more likely to continue to do it than try and set yourself up for fail.
Exactly. I think morning's good for me as well, because I think, like you said, when you do things in the morning, then you can benefit the whole day. Like even exercise, you'll benefit the whole day. If I don't do it in the morning, I probably won't do anything at night. I'm not, if the day's gone, it's too late, you know.
It's funny. I've never done it in the morning. I've always done it at night.
Oh, really?
And but I guess I've used it more as a tool to process things rather than a tool to set myself up for stuff.
Yes, that's reflections. You can use it for reflection. Yeah, I guess whatever works. That's the thing. And it's about trying different things, isn't it? Try it. If it doesn't really, you're not getting anything from it, change your approach, change what you're writing. It's all practice, isn't it? Exploring, practicing.
Absolutely. Kim, you had a question, if you can remember it.
Oh God, that's so with what I think my anxiety is, I'm a very fidgety person. Like, even whilst we're doing this, I've twizzled my pen about 50,000 times. I'm picking. I'm also, when I feel anxious, I tend to do this thing where I like sort of, I don't know if that's the control thing, that like it's almost like I need something to focus on because my mind's going, I don't know, like, is that normal? Am I an absolute lunatic? Like, help me, Jen. Help me, Jasmine.
Knowing you the way I do, Kim, I'd say it's a bit of both. You're definitely a lunatic. But as far as the anxiety is concerned, yeah, you want to, it's a distraction, it's a coping mechanism. So you find something else to put your focus on. So it's making sure that we find healthy coping mechanisms. It's, you know, it's the same as people that go, they drink too much, they gamble, they shop, whatever it is, they do gaming. They're trying to distract themselves from the way they're actually feeling at that point in time. So we'll work on that.
Oh, missed the last bit.
Yeah, the last bit you went silent.
Sorry, a healthy coping strategy, one that can serve you and do better.
And what would one of those be?
Go for walks, spend some time in nature. Exercise is really good. A bit of a meditation, a breathing technique, unspinning the feeling. Yeah, I mean, if you do square breathing, breathe in for 4, hold your breath for 4, out for 4, hold your breath for 4. Square breathing is another pattern that you can use. You know, instead of distracting yourself with picking or anything that's not serving you so well.
It's hard though to start a new habit, isn't it? I mean, if I don't exercise in the morning, like when I first wake up in the morning, I feel, I don't know about anybody else, and I don't really talk about this, but I feel so bad when I wake up in the morning, every morning. I've never woke up one morning and thought, I feel good today. As anybody else? I mean, this has just been my life forever. Like, it's just awful. So it's like, if I don't do exercise or something, then I don't know what would happen, to be quite honest. So I've got to the point now where I have to exercise, because otherwise it's not going to work out, you know.
Exercise is so good for you, and I really notice the difference now. I'm not exercising as much as I used to.
Yeah.
And it's something I keep saying I've got to get back into. I've got to prioritise. Again, I keep saying that I haven't got the time, but when it comes to things like that, and it's your own mental health, we've got to make the time to do these things. It is a case of prioritising. So even if it's, you know, driving somewhere and walking the last 10 minutes, then that's better than driving and parking and going straight from the car to sitting down at an office. Whatever you can do to squeeze in a little bit of exercise and being outside in nature. We're designed to be outside. We're not designed to be within 4 walls.
Do you know, I was talking to someone yesterday about grounding. Now, grounding is one of those things where I was always like, yeah, whatever about it. But there is, so Jen explained what it is, and then people understand. But it's like, it's weird how it actually works. Makes you feel different.
So
yeah, it's grounding yourself to the earth. So, I mean, even if you can just stand outside barefoot and just feel nature beneath your feet. Sitting by a tree, sitting under a tree, leaning up against a tree, it's just immersing yourself and feeling grounded with the world again. And it's incredible. When you feel like that, then your worries are so insignificant, because you realise that, you know, you've got all this nature around you. you can be leaning up against trees that are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and it just puts life into perspective. Same as, you know, at night time, watching the stars. It's another way of just putting yourself in a position where it's not all about us, because we're all guilty of just focusing on ourselves. And, you know, my hair doesn't look good today, or whatever it is. Does it really matter in the scheme of things? If you climb outside, you realise that that sort of stuff is just not important. I mean, I don't watch the news. I barely use social media, and it is only for my business. And even then, I'm not great at it, as Christine reminds me on a regular basis. But you know, I'm not as consistent as I should be. But I try and avoid it as much as I can, because negativity sells, and we've all got a negativity bias anyway. So not only do we hear more negative things, we retain negative things rather than we do positive things. So, you know, it's a double whammy. So yeah, by spending time outside in nature, grounding yourself, just sitting, just being, is hugely beneficial.
And find what like you really love doing. Do something that you really, really love. Like for me, it's the beach, day or night. If I'm at the beach, then I feel absolutely fine. Everything, it just changes my mood. So, you know, it can be raining. I don't care what the weather is, you know, just makes me feel better. They say that, don't they? If you look at water for 20 minutes, it's proven to make you feel better.
Yeah.
So
Or spend time in a forest.
Or in the forest, exactly.
Sorry. I think the thing I'm picking up most out of all of this is Christina, I'm off to Dubai with Jasmine. That's what will fix all of my issues.
Get in line, love. Get in line.
But no, it is true, like when you go on holiday, it doesn't matter whether it's UK or abroad. When you're sat on that beach and it's just,
yeah,
it is just a lot less stressful, isn't it? Even though the kids are doing your head in because they've asked for the 17th snack of the morning, you still.
Well, but sat in the garden as well. Like when I'm home, I just sit in the garden. That helps sometimes. You know, just being around. It's the simple things. It's normally the simple things that make us feel better, not the complicated buying this, buying that. No, it's just simple. But I think a lot of us, we've lost connection, haven't we?
Yeah. And there's so much out there. I'm conscious we need to wrap this up in a second. But there is so much out there in terms of, like, I got an email about a bioresonance machine, and it's like this thing you sit in front of and just infrared rays or whatever, and it's going to do this and this. And I'm like, but you can get the exact same thing by if I just go and sit out on my steps in the sun for 5 minutes.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and we need to simplify all of this stuff. We really, really need to, because that's what works. And it is I think honestly, even if you're somewhere that like I know Kim's in the town centre, Nicole's in London, like you might not be able to step out and be in a back garden, you know, but it is just sometimes actually just being outside.
Definitely.
It's sometimes it's just that environmental shift as well, isn't it? So I think
it's remembering how we were designed to be.
Yes.
We were designed to be outside. We were designed to breathe deeply. You know, we breathe up here when we're anxious. If you start breathing into your tummy more, that's how we're designed to be. You see a baby and you can see their tummy moving. It's going back to basics. You know, instead of trying to find external validation in stuff, go back to the basics, and you know, you'll naturally start to feel better. You're more aligned with being human.
And you don't need to spend money. That's the thing. You don't need to spend money on it. Like going for a walk, like you can just, all these things are free. Most of them are free.
Go for a walk and smile at someone you pass by. You can't be angry when you smile. And I used to sit with my daughter when she was young. I used to make her put a finger in her mouth because you naturally smile, and you can't have a tantrum and smile at the same time.
Brilliant.
It changes their whole state. Do something good and a act of kindness.
Yes.
Ladies, I'm conscious of time. We're going to have to wrap up. I feel like we'll just keep talking and talking.
Yeah, talk about this all day.
But yeah, I think that it's been really useful, really, really useful. I think there's some, you know, everything from, you know, talk about techniques, the journaling, you know, I'm really glad we were able to offer and answer that question to the guy on LinkedIn. So please, 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 any resources that you both have, drop them in the comments on Facebook and on LinkedIn would be amazing. And we'll make sure that we pick those up and put them with the notes on YouTube and on our website and stuff as well. Thank you so much for your time today. I know how incredibly busy you are and all that kind of stuff. So mwah, love you both. And thank you for those of you that tuned in and listened to us as well. It's, you know, we love doing this. This is what episode 168. So we've been doing this a little while now, and also having guests on it always just brings something different. Normally we talk about marketing stuff. Today it's something different. Hopefully it was useful. I think everyone that watches this, there will be something they can take away, if not for them, but for someone in their life. We all know at least one person that finds anxiety, stress to be a challenge. So yeah, really, really useful. Any parting words from you, Jasmine?
I say congratulations to all the kids that have got their exam results and they've got what they wanted, as that's the point of us talking about it today, and well done. And if it hasn't been what you wanted, then you've learned so many life lessons up to now, and how do you use those, what you've learned, and make it work best for you?
I'd say be yourself, which probably, I remember somebody said this to me years and years ago, and I was like, is that it? But I think when you can be your true self, then I think everything else sort of works out naturally. But that's really hard. So it sounds simple, but I know it's very, very hard. But yeah, be yourself.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you so much. Like I say, drop your stuff in the comments, and people can reach out to you direct as well. We have one last tradition. We need to say goodbye. So you're going to have to wave at the camera for us. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next Thursday on the next live lunch. Bye now.